BMW's M Performance division, M rather handily standing for motorsport, is a company within a company, a playground for BMW's engineers to let loose a little bit and create something truly special. Their mandate was to take their racing technology and put it in their road-going cars. So in a way, they were in charge of making the ultimate version of the ultimate driving machine. And their first project was the legendary 3-liter CSL, a car that went on to dominate the European Touring Car Championships in the 1970s. With race wins and championships under their belt, BMW gave the official stamp of approval to their M division, marking the beginning of the venerable M badge era. The first car to be produced under that badge was Genesis, the M3. In 1986, we saw the release of the E92 M3, a car that was designed to meet Group A racing homologation standards. So it truly was a racing car at heart, just coming in a 3 Series wrapper. Its high-revving 4-cylinder engine and razor-sharp handling set a tone at BMW. It created the M3 template. An M car had to be raw, focused, and a tad bit unhinged. Each generation to follow the E30, the E36, the E46, and this, the E92, continued to push the boundaries of engineering and driving dynamics. In fact, the E92 marked a significant milestone in BMW's history. The M nerds decided to fit a naturally aspirated 4-liter V8 under the hood of this car, the first ever and only V8 to ever be fitted to an M3. It produced 414 horsepower, 295 foot-pounds of torque, and screamed to 8,400 RPM. It was the perfect combination of raw power and European finesse. Now, the M division went on to create multiple variants of the M car. They even produce them to this day. But it's the E92 where we're going to park, because it simultaneously represents the beginning of the modern era for the M division, but also an end to the high horsepower, low down grunt of European performance cars of a bygone era. The E92, for me, represents pure analog driving pleasure in an increasingly digital world, which is precisely why I bought one. In fact, I bought this very car, a 2013 M3, a car that came into my possession as part of a quest to replace my daily driver. I wanted my next car to tick all the boxes of a performance car, and the M3 was an obvious answer. But what followed my decision to buy one of the greatest cars ever made was nothing short of a love story between me and this incredible machine. A story that started all the way on the west coast of the US in California. So we hopped on a plane, got ourselves to LA. We made our way to a B&B in Malibu. Next morning, we took an Uber out to Simi Valley to pick up a U-Haul. We took that U-Haul over to WAB, which is the facility where the BMW was stored. We had to trailer the BMW all the way back to U-Haul, where we could finally untrailer the BMW for tax purposes. We made our way to the canyons up in Malibu, and that brings us here. What do you get when you combine race-bred engineering, a naturally aspirated V8 engine, and a legacy rooted in motorsport? You get this, the 2013 BMW E92 M3 Competition package. This is an iconic car, a controversial one, but it is an end of an era for BMW. So why don't you come along as we go through it? Okay, let's start with the basics. The E92 is part of the 4th generation of the M3 lineup, taking over for its predecessor, the E46. It was produced from 07 to 13, which is what year this car is. What sets it apart though, it was the only M3 to ever pack a naturally aspirated V8, and that's what this is, the S65 high revving V8. It goes all the way up to 8,400 RPM, it's 4-liter motor. So no turbos, no hybrid trickery, just high revving magic. This masterpiece of an engine puts out 414 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque, and you can really feel it, especially up here through the canyon roads. It's paired with either a 6-speed standard transmission or the BMW 7-speed DCT, which is what we have here. Personally, I prefer. A lot of purists will say you've got to have a stick. You're only a real man if you have a standard transmission. But the DCT, as a racing driver, you're measuring shifts in milliseconds. So I prefer it. Now, a couple facts about the engine. It's actually derived from the V10, which is an F1-inspired engine from the E60 M5, and it only weighs 202 kilograms, making it a featherweight V8. Like I said, this particular model is the competition package, or the ZCP for your BMW nerds. There's some obvious aesthetic pieces that come with the competition package. That's the carbon roof and the carbon rear spoiler. But what really makes the comp just that much better is the lowered suspension, the retuned electronic damping control, and these beautiful M Performance forged alloy wheels. These are lighter weight and they improve brake cooling. One more thing that comes with the competition package is a revised M dynamic mode. It's a little M button on the steering wheel. It basically loosens the reins on the traction control so you can let it step out a little bit more before the car brings it back in line. So for all you car nerds and racing enthusiasts, it just means it's a blast to drive. Now let's talk about the controversy. Not everybody was exactly thrilled with the E92 when it was first launched. Why is that? Well, it's a few reasons. One, it's much heavier than its predecessor, the E46. That's a 6-cylinder, kind of lightweight, track-focused, nimble M3. So a lot of people think that this car kind of lost the M3 raw simplicity. Not to mention the V8 is not exactly economical. It's not very fuel efficient and the maintenance costs can be exotic car levels expensive. But in the last few years, it's kind of got renewed fame. It's getting on 11 or 12 years old now, and a lot of people are hailing it as a swan song for the naturally aspirated V8s. Not just for BMW, but all European car manufacturers. In a world of turbocharged and hybrid trickery, this is a rare treat. So that's the car in a nutshell. I'm super happy about it, but let's go talk about what we're gonna be doing with it over the next couple days. So that is my new E92 M3, but it doesn't just stop at a pretty car review. We are going to be writing a love letter to the V8 M3 on our over 1,000-mile journey home to Austin, Texas. We're going to take it to the track at Buttonwillow Raceway tomorrow, drive it to the Sequoias, and then through Death Valley, and then a bunch of highway cruising on the way back. And we'll keep you updated all along the way with our thoughts of the M3. We'll see you. Hey guys, so we are somewhere in the middle of Nowhere Valley, California, and I'm $39 into probably an $80 fill up here. The downsides of owning a V8 E92. One of many, I will admit, but the next step for us is we're going to Buttonwillow Raceway, which is a raceway I've never been to. So it'll be fun to learn the track and then see how the M3 handles out there taking corners. We wanted to make sure that this trip was about putting it through its paces, and track seemed like the natural first step to kind of put all the E92 haters to shame. See how it fares compared to some of the other cars I've driven. So we're gonna finish filling up here, hop in the car, we got another hour and a half or so before we hit the raceway. So we'll see you there. Hey guys, welcome to Buttonwillow Raceway in the middle of nowhere. Somewhere out there, there is a racetrack, I promise. So why are we here? The E92 was not necessarily celebrated for its agility when it came out. With the V8 era, we kind of moved away from the E46 light and nimble track car. And with that came excess weight. So a lot of people were not excited when this first came out. But the competition package promises to solve some of those problems for the track. So this is stock from 2013. And we've got all the competition goodies. We've got the forged alloy wheels with an improved brake cooling, lower suspension, so it's got a lower ride height, and an improved M dynamic mode that we can kind of test out here. So before we do anything to this car, we wanted to take it to the track, and this is kind of that round one on our way back to Austin, Texas. So without further ado, let's go put this thing to the test. Okay, team, that is the sound of hot brakes. That means you're doing something right on the track. I just got done with my first session at Buttonwillow. I was only out with 2 GR86s or something like that, which looks like a racing school. I followed them to get the line, and then I was faster pretty quickly. Obviously, this car is way more powerful. Not more powerful than the open wheelers that are going around right now. But I did get around the 2 GRs, and they probably know the track way better than I do. This car, I had it in M dynamic mode, which means it does kind of loosen the traction control, but I still had full traction control on. It won't let you step out. It takes corners like a champ. It's so smooth down the straights. And the shifting of weight from side to side, which was the main concern for the E92 with that added weight, it's just butter. I have never driven an E46, I'll admit, but I have driven my Porsche Turbo, I've driven my GT4, the Cayman, and a bunch of race cars. Obviously, this isn't a race car, high downforce or anything like that, but this is one of the most glorious track experiences I have ever experienced in my life. So let's buckle up for one more session around Buttonwillow. That was awesome. Okay, team, if you can't tell from the smile on my face, we are done with the track sessions at Buttonwillow Raceway. First of all, if you haven't made it to Buttonwillow before, you have to come here. It's really flat, but think Sebring, but it's got some flying S's, it's got a hairpin, it's got some really quick corners. After you get used to the track and the elevation changes, which are minimal, it's a really fun track. And they have these open testing days, which, you know, you'd think you'd have to be a race car to do it, but you pay the $800, which is pretty steep. But if you're here all day and you've got some sort of like race bred engineering car like the M3, you come on out, you have a blast. I got used to the track pretty quickly. Now, I didn't want to cook the brakes. We still have a 1,000+ mile drive back to Austin. Those Formula guys are still out there racing around. I think they're learning the track as well. But let me give you my impressions of the E92 so far as the formulas go by. The E92 I want to be out there so bad. The E92 was the beginning and the end of an era for BMW. It's a V8 engine, naturally aspirated. Some would say it's the last analog car of the M3 lineup. Everything else went turbocharged and extra traction control and all that good stuff. Now, speaking of traction control, I want to give you kind of the lowlights of the car. When you're not in M dynamic mode and on the dash you see an MDM, you do get extra traction control and it is intrusive. It's like a really naggy mom. Every corner, exiting the corner, you get wheel spin and the traction control comes on. And effectively what traction control does is it kind of caps the throttle input. Even if you're slamming down on the throttle pedal, it's kind of giving you less power. So it just feels numb. Very, very different from the Porsche traction control and the electronic stability control that they've put in their cars. So I would say that's a downside on this car. If you forget to take it out of traction control, it's pretty numb. However, there's a solution. The M dynamic mode puts it in like half traction control, and you can still turn off traction control completely. So that's what we ended up doing. And other than that, this car feels better than most cars I've driven, street cars that I've driven on the track. It was nimble, it was light, it didn't feel like it's a V8, it didn't feel heavier than its predecessors. So on that front, all the haters of the E92, I think we can check that off the list in our trip back to Austin. Hey guys, so I want to kind of review as we're driving through the foothills of California, the M3 and its dual personalities. You can really tell that it's a race-bred piece of engineering. I mean, it's an M3. All the M lineup cars have that DNA. The common complaint from people who have the E36 and the E46 is that this car was super heavy, but in fact, this car has two rivals, primarily the Audi RS5 and the AMG C63 from Mercedes. And this car actually comes in at a much lighter weight than those two rivals. So when you compare to kind of the best in its class, this one wins. But taking it from the track to the foothills of California, you can't really tell that it has that race-bred engineering. I mean, this car was ultimately developed at the Nürburgring, specifically the competition package, and the Nürburgring is no joke. You know, it puts a car really through its paces, and BMW does a great job of setting up and balancing the car for that track. That's why at Buttonwillow, you can really tell that this car comes alive. And that's sort of the problem here. A lot of these track-focused cars are set up for track driving, and then you take them onto the street and you can't really tell. You know, the pros and cons, you know, you get that quiet rumble from the V8 up front. You've got the GT seats. There's no buckets, there's no carbon in here. The only carbon you see is on the roof. So from in here, it's just a quiet, comfortable GT. It sounds good, but it doesn't sound quite as good as it could. So what you have is a piece of engineering that's kind of got a dual personality. You've got the track kind of beast mode, and then the quieter, more refined, sophisticated street mode. But I kind of equate it to tasting a fine wine. When I have some sort of a track car that's pushing out 400 plus horsepower, it's like a wine that has that kind of punch that it packs on the first drink, but then it just falls flat on the back end. And this car kind of falls flat on the back end. I mean, it has no exhaust note to back it up, but that doesn't mean it's a bad car. It just means there's some tweaks that could be made. And I think BMW knows this because in their M Performance division, they've given you the option to upgrade this. People supercharge this to 600 plus horsepower, but the primary upgrade is generally intake and exhaust. So you get that engine noise from up front and then the mean exhaust, which you don't get from the stock. But I will say, even off the track, this thing does quietly attack the corners that you would be experiencing in these windy canyon roads. So I'm still super stoked, but it just means there's some tweaking to be done. Welcome, guys. We are cruising through the dead of night in the middle of nowhere in California. I love California, but it is a very weird place. You've got like these open roads, just high desert, nothing, and then you've got LA and the farms. It's been great to see it again. I haven't been here in forever. But I wanted to recap the day a little bit. This trip started out with excitement. Like, it was very beautiful. We got to stay in Malibu, but then it very quickly devolved into a situation that is still ongoing. Like, we left our Airbnb to pick this car up, and just in a few hours, Malibu caught on fire, and it's still on fire right now. So we had to leave the Airbnb. We never got back to it. We switched to an Airbnb in Santa Monica. We were moving around. It was windy. It was dark. There was dust and fire everywhere. I mean, it was like a scene out of a movie. It was crazy. But that day ended, and we got to today, which was definitely a win. Buttonwillow Raceway for a few sessions just to kind of stretch the M3's legs, put it through its paces, which was what we were intending on doing. And then heading to the foothills before getting to the Sequoia National Park. Just gorgeous, like postcard California, to really see how this thing does on the streets, kind of those canyon streets. So far, I'm in love with this car. I mean, the biggest pro and the biggest con is that V8 that's up there. I would say it's a pro because it's just this rumbling, high revving thing that is effectively just rocket propellant whenever you want it to be. But it can be quiet and sophisticated, like right now in kind of GT mode. Me personally, I want a car to give you a little bit of the, warm and fuzzies, kind of a little bit of a fizzly feeling when you're on the streets. I don't really get that from this car. I think it needs an exhaust to kind of pair up with that glorious engine noise coming from under the hood right now. But that's all solvable. What this thing is a track monster that can be a sophisticated street car. And I think a lot of people appreciate that about the E92. So, bottom line, I'm in love with the car. In other news, I don't have any clothes. They're back at the Airbnb. My race suit, my race shoes, my helmet are all back there. From what I've been told, it's not burned down. So at some point, someone's going to ship me all of that stuff, which is good because I didn't want to be dealing with insurance claims for 10, 12K worth of race gear. So that's a win. One loss from today is I have no idea where my wallet is. So I've had to cancel all my credit cards. I don't have my pilot's license, my driver's license. If you're CHP, just plug your ears at this point because I'm driving without my license. I don't have a lot of things that come in my wallet, so I'm going to have to do everything that's required to replace all that at some point. As far as the car goes, there's not a lot here. I would say 3 big discoveries. One, there's this little button down here. All the way to the left, it's like this eco mode, and all the way to the right, it's just a more taut throttle response. So basically, when it's in the eco mode, it never gets down into first gear. And I thought it was really sluggish and something was wrong with the car at first, but it was just in that eco mode. Second button that I've discovered is this one down here, if you can see it. It's basically a button that activates a sunshade in the back, but all it does is anger you and frustrate you. It's a little menace. Like you press the button and the shade comes up and you're like, oh, that's cool for whatever that's for. But then the shade never goes back down, like no matter how many times you press it. So I had to get Holden to go back there, push it down as I pressed the button, and it finally worked. So if you own an E92, never press that button. Pro tip. Third thing, we have a check engine light. 6 hours into owning this car, that came on. My suspicion is there's like a valve that warms up or keeps the catalytic converters cool, and they get stuck open or closed. So I'm hoping it's just that. Haven't noticed anything driving it. Honestly, this thing has been a glorious drive, so I'm super happy with it. But let's go over tomorrow. Today was about the track and the foothills in the Sequoia National Park. Tomorrow is more about dirt road and cruising. We're going to Lone Pine right now. Tomorrow we're going to be in the Alabama Hills, which is a place I've never been, and I think you guys will get a lot of enjoyment out of because it's like a movie set for the moon. It's like very sci-fi, very cool. So we're going to do some drone shots, take the M3 through some dirt roads, maybe do some exuberant driving. Just don't tell anybody. And then we're going to take it through Death Valley and then on the way through Flagstaff for just some chill cruising like we're doing now. And hopefully we fall more in love with this car. So the next time you see us, we will be near Lone Pine, California, heading to Alabama Hills. Okay, team, I am beat. I don't even know what time it is. It is almost midnight. Perfect time for hunting because this is where we are. This place was built 150 years ago. And, you know, we'll see what happens. It'll be in my nightmares. Holden seems pretty confident, but having a blast so far. We'll see about tomorrow. But we're gonna stay here tonight, charge everything up, relax, get up in the morning, not super early like we have been, but you know, wanna get a good start on the day because Flagstaff is 8 hours from Death Valley. So we gotta do Alabama Hills, then over to, that's a ghost. So Alabama Hills in the morning, then Death Valley, then 8 hours to Flagstaff. So we want to make sure we get a good start on the day. This is crazy, man. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello, not haunted. I'm gonna go find some breakfast. Come on. Hey guys, welcome to beautiful downtown Lone Pine. We are first and foremost finding something warm because I'm an idiot and I didn't pick up a hoodie or anything warm other than this at Target. Now, good news, we do have some clean clothes. We'll go across one of these. Let's do it. We're gonna go to this sporting goods shop that Holden wants to go to even though it's closed.
No way.
It's so cold out here. But we're gonna find something warm. Holden got a sticker to commemorate. And then we're gonna head to Alabama Hills and get some shots of the E92 over in the dirt roads somewhere over there. Beautiful, beautiful hat selection. Here for you.
Okay, I get one.
What?
I get one.
This is gonna be like Champion soon. You know how Champion like had a moment?
Mm-hmm.
True value. We are the first. Fishing poles. Ooh. Wow. I could be a real man. Do I not look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? I'm a real man now. It is a Dickies jacket. This trip has turned me into a real boy. I got my hands dirty with the tires. I got this jacket. We're in Lone Pine, California. And the loneliest of pines at the base of whatever those mountains are.
That's Sierras.
Sierra Nevadas?
Yeah, it's Mount Whitney.
It's actually very pretty. If you guys haven't been to like backwoods, California, which is not a derogatory thing, you should definitely come on over. Apparently Mammoth is that way somewhere. So at some point we'll do a ski trip or something like that, but now I'm warm. So we're gonna go find the Alabama Hills, do some filming in my nice new jacket. I think we're good on fuel, but we'll check. But we'll see you guys in the E92. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the E92 update. Check engine light didn't go away, so sad. Still BMW things. We are warming up the car, and then we're gonna go find the Alabama Hills, a place called Movie Road, which I'm pretty excited about. I think it's gonna be really cool. I've seen pictures so far. We gotta go see it in real life. I got a warm jacket, happy about that. BMW's making noises. Yeah, I think we don't need fuel yet, so we're just gonna go find Movie Road, do some shooting, and show you around the sites a little bit. Let's go. Oh, hi. We are done with the canyon driving that was done over there somewhere. Alabama Hills, up through Movie Road, and this became a track turned rally raid car. Pro tip, this is not a rally car, this is not a Dakar. Oh my God. This whole section of video is just gonna be me with like terrified faces. Woo. competition anything. It held up, but it has no PPF, really stiff suspension, especially when you're out there in the rocks and the bumps. So it did really well though. We got sideways a little bit, got some cool footage. The big development is we did some drone shooting just on a straight road. So I put it in the M dynamic mode, turned everything off except for traction control, and then turned the throttle response all the way up and did some kind of standing or standing-ish starts. And this thing is a beast above 7,500 RPM, and it has the shifting assist like in a race car. So I fell way more in love with this engine just doing the drone shots. So now we fueled up our bodies and the car, and now we're headed to Death Valley and Vegas and Flagstaff. So we got quite a drive. We're gonna stop in Death Valley next, but it's just kind of some easy cruising from here on out. So we'll see you guys soon. It's hard to describe this feeling sitting where I'm sitting. I can't convey the sensation to you guys, which is very upsetting because if I could bottle this feeling of carving through a canyon in a high performance car, I would be a billionaire because it just gets the endorphins rushing through your body. And I'm not even at like peak M3-ness right now. I'm in the M dynamic mode. I'm taking it through the canyons in 4th right now, so I'm kind of bouncing between 3, 4, 5 sometime, and I'm going downhill. We've got like 3,000 feet to crawl down, well, exuberantly crawl down. But I'm just reminded of how much I love performance in sports cars in general when I'm driving through roads like this, especially in this car. Holden actually asked me earlier, I still have the turbo, the 991 turbo, and he asked me, which car do you prefer, this or the turbo? And the answer was hands down, this is the car I prefer. I mean, hands down, this is one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. I don't think it gives the Cayman, the GT4, a run for its money, I'll be honest with you. But I don't think it wins over the Cayman. You know, the Cayman has such a planted platform, and the engine and the gearbox is so well paired. The PDK in the turbo is phenomenal. I mean, it's intoxicating. Just the sheer amount of engine noise that comes out of that S65 it's unbeatable. And I think it depends on how you define the best car you've ever owned or driven, because I define it as a holistic experience. And a car that can give you this for really relatively low amounts of money compared to like a new car now, you're going to be spending 40K plus, 50, 60 starting prices on these new cars with all the ADAS technology and all that crap that goes into them. Whereas you could get something like this for, I paid 37K USD, and you get a track focused car that was developed at the Nürburgring, and it's just unbeatable. You don't get the ADAS, you don't get the nannies. It's just pure high revving V8 and a well-planted, well-sorted platform to just have a blast through the hills before Death Valley. And then it can settle into this kind of GT cruise mode when you're on the long stretches of road at the bottom of the valley. Amazing experience.
It is so beautiful out here.
Welcome. It's a pleasure to be in you, Nevada. There's John, and John.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, damn, that one hits Pilates or something. Rolling. So I'm gonna intro every video. Hello, team. It is 6:35, and we're rolling through Vegas. We're not gonna go down the strip or anything. We're just on a straight shot to Flagstaff. Have no idea how long it's gonna take us to get there, and I don't really wanna check because I'm sure it's gonna be depressing, but my guess is 4.5 hours. Don't correct me if I'm wrong. Don't do it.
I'm not saying anything.
I've got a quarter tank. We're sitting, I think we're getting like 300 miles to the tank, so I'm pretty happy about that. We're gonna stop in Henderson, which is just past Vegas. We're gonna stop for fuel for both the car and for Jake and Holden. And then we're gonna make our way to Flagstaff, which I heard, well, I get 2 updates. One, I heard Flagstaff is snowy, which would be an interesting additional test for the M3. And based on how it did in the dirt, I think it'll do fine in the snow. I mean, it's not gonna set any lap records, obviously, but it'll be really fun to see. Second update, probably should have started with this one because it's kind of depressing, but the fire in Malibu is like really nasty. I think like over 5,000 homes are gone. No idea about our clothes, but honestly, that doesn't matter. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and complain about losing clothes when people are losing homes. So I'm glad we got out of there in time. I'm just getting like constant updates and people asking if I'm still there or not, which we're not, obviously. So bad news for them. So we're thinking about those people, of course. So stay safe out there, everybody.
Had to take a little Chipotle break, y'all.
Welcome back to E92 at night. We just passed 10 miles to go till Flagstaff. You can see it on the navigation there. We are planning on staying here tonight. We were promised snow, but we don't have any so far, which is kind of a bummer. Although it is extremely cold. You probably can't see it, but it's at 24 degrees Fahrenheit outside. It's been hovering between 23 and 24, so we got out to go fuel the car and couldn't stand it. I'm a Texas boy. Can't blame me for that. But yeah, we're gonna stay in Flagstaff, and then we've got a super long journey tomorrow. We're gonna try to make it from Flagstaff to Austin. It's 1,000 miles in a day. And I think between Holden and I, we can get the drive done. We don't have a ton of shooting to do tomorrow, but we're gonna try to pick up where we can, do a lot of shooting from in here, and just do the cruise back to Austin. But for now, we're gonna brave the cold and stay in the beautiful kind of Grand Canyon town of Flagstaff, Arizona. We'll see you guys soon. It is what it is. Number 2. We're adjacent rooms are across the hallway.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna be bugging you.
No.
Knocking on your door. I can't sleep.
Only for toothpaste can you do that.
Oh yeah.
It's the only
We only share socks and toothpaste
Yeah.
on these trips.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, y'all.
We are lacking sleep. If you can't tell, we can't shave.
Here, let me get a close-up of you.
No, that's good. We're looking rough, but we're gonna make it through 15 hours.
1,000 miles on the M3 today.
I'm in that 5-minute warm era, so
Yeah.
it feels good to be in the cold. But after your body temperature drops, you're gonna be hurting.
We've gone through so many different changes of scenery.
This jacket's still the best purchase I've ever made. Well, except for that.
Look at the M3, guys.
We're gonna see how a cold start
So pretty.
treats it.
I'll stay out here for the cold start, all right? Got that John on. Now.
Crank. There we go, the latest of the BMW chimes. It's like you wake up and if you're not greeted by it, you get a little bit of like depression, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, it's not talking to me. How sad. But pro tip, air up your tires if you're going on a long journey. Helps with the MPG.
Shout out Discount Tire for being right here.
Yeah, on the way out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Well, coffee first, then out of town. And then we're not gonna look at how long it's gonna take us to get there until we're like within 5 hours. Because it's just gonna depress us.
Guys, we are currently in the most patriotic small town in America.
We just learned this.
Gallup, New Mexico. Let me tell you, the roads make you feel like you're galloping on cobblestone.
Mm-hmm.
Just jumping around.
Same feeling when you're like low RPM in second gear and you forgot.
Or if you just stink at driving manual and you just like bog in the clutch.
You don't have to subtweet me.
Huh? I wasn't subtweeting you. I was directly tweeting you. I tagged you. Just kidding.
It's good to stretch the legs a bit.
Guys, this license plate that we have on here was just in the trunk.
Forgot about that.
It has no tags whatsoever. It's just a random California plate.
So we're coming to an end of our 1,400 mile plus journey that started all the way back at the Pacific Ocean. And as we chew through the last remaining miles here, I have some time to reflect on the 5-day journey in this M3. We met some friends, we had some laughs, we got evacuated from a wildfire, did some canyon carving, some track time. But ultimately, we kind of settled into some back road cruising, all in the name of passion for cars. We saw places in this country that not many people get to see on these long journeys. And we did it all in our little home away from home, this E92 M3 Competition package, and what a home it's been. This car started out as just kind of an idea in my head. You know, it started out as a spec sheet. We all know that the E92 has devastatingly good looks and that high power V8. So on paper, it's amazing, and that's ultimately why I bought into it. But it was only after seeing this car go from Southern California beach cruiser to canyon carver to track dominator and even Dakar rally raid off-roader, all before settling into this kind of quiet, sophisticated GT cruiser. That's when I fell in love with this car ultimately, and I've been building a relationship with it. And that's sort of what makes me sad at the end of this journey. You see, the E92 was built in a time that was kind of a brief blip in history where V8s were going out of style in favor of the more economical and cost-effective V6s and turbo hybrid models. So I think that's why BMW fitted this motor ultimately. In a very real sense, BMW is kind of bidding farewell to the V8 engines and their high revving, kind of screaming nature. By putting this V8 in the M3, they were creating what's ultimately a swan song for the M lineup. And in a greater sense, it kind of makes me question where does the car fit into our world in the next decade? And is motorsport even going to be a thing? So in a very real sense, this car marks an end of an era. But in a more real sense, this car represents beginnings. For me, you and I, at the end of this journey, you're only seeing the closing of it. But I'm starting a hopefully multi-year relationship that I'll be building with this car as its new caretaker. In another sense, we're sitting here at the beginning of 2025 on the precipice of my semi-pro racing career, which hopefully you guys will join us. But in a very grand sense, I think this car represents a beginning for the old car. You see, there's a lot of cars that are 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years old that were icons in their time. Thousands of hours of engineering, blood, sweat, and tears went into making these machines to make them the bleeding edge of technology. Something that you and I can just go out and enjoy from a pure driving standpoint. And as I sit here and think about one thing I could leave you with, I implore you, if you can, go out and buy yourself an older performance car. I can't think of a better way to save the planet and pay homage to the people who made this car or cars like it a reality. So, if you go out and buy one of these or buy a new car, I say cast aside these high-tech packed new modern cars and buy yourself something exciting from 10, 15 years ago and become a caretaker of a new era of cars. I think that's exactly what I'm going to do with this E92.